It's long, and it's going to be caught under some confusion by Shaun Johnson. There was a potential there for a mistake right at the start, but New Zealand hang on.
And it's all on, and what a haka. You have to say that the Kiwis have to compose themselves. You see the clear emotional involvement that they have in that, but it's important that they get their heads on the game now and go through the process that's been so successful in this tournament.
And Ian Millward, we talk about the conditions here a little earlier when we're doing the coaching interviews. I think the wind was a little stronger. It's died down a little, but that high kick could be a factor here tonight.
Well, Shaun's the halfback for New Zealand. He's been a revelation, he has, with his kicks in the air. His spiral bombs, scores nothing but problems. We've got two debutants in Mansour and also Sione, Utai, and this is going to be a real test for them in this tournament.
Well, it's great quick pressure there from Cronk on Shaun Johnson. They clearly got the mission to disrupt his kick. I think it took England a while last week to get into that mould of disrupting his kick. So that's a clear intention that Tim Sheens has pointed out to his players.
Well, they're up and at them early here. Here comes Corey Parker, one of the experienced heads in that Australian pack, and a penalty for Australia as well, right on that halfway line. So the Kangaroos will get a set of 6 here, all things being equal, inside the New Zealand half.
It's going to be interesting for the people watching this back at home. 3 of the best offloaders in the NRL competition, but Adam Blair and Bromwich from New Zealand. You've got Corey Parker. They lead the top 3 offloaders, and last week that got New Zealand back into the game against England. Be interesting offloads today.
Australia had a nosebleed in that first game against the Kiwis, but they're looking to hit back with a counter-punch here tonight as Cherry Evans takes on that line. He, of course, remember, was injured in that first game, and that was a major factor in the Australians failing to produce in the second half. Taken close to the line by Papalii. 3 tackles to come here. Here's Cameron Smith at dummy half, looking to that left. Parker with the offload. Smith now looking to create the numbers with a kick to the corner. It's bounced away. An opportunity for Mansour.
He's a smart player, that Smith. He'll manufacture something there. We're looking dangerous, and they closed it down to the Kiwis, but they look vulnerable. Cherry Evans taking on the line in that first set of 6 is an encouraging sign for me. First and foremost, your hearts have to be a running threat.
Well, obviously it's got to be a positive start by Australia, because the New Zealand strengths in their go forward and they're coming out of their half. But there was Parker's offload to Smith that created the space, Brian.
Manu Vatuvai running over folks as he went forward. Here comes Nightingale towards that halfway line. New Zealand beginning to move into Australian territory for the first time with any meaning so far tonight. This is Foran, tough customer.
But you know it's going to come at the end of this. The Shaun Johnson spiral bomb over to Nightingale on his right-hand side.
Issac look, dummy half. We've seen a little bit of a gap there. He puts a little chip over the top. Asking a question here, and Mansour is back in the in-goal area. He's going to get out, though, is he? Yes, he is. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Just. Only just.
That's a fair play from Mansour. Good defence from New Zealand, because he was testing purposes down the track there, and they got to him. Not sure it was a great kick. Manufactured kick from Luke. But a good result for them. They can defend well here, the Kiwis.
Here's Thaiday to crash it forward. Up to the 10-metre line, no further. 3 tackles gone. New Zealand tightening the grip here.
But this is where New Zealand's had the strength. They're out back 3, 2 wingers have got them out of their half. Australia are not as dominant in that.
It's a penalty, and that's a lead for Australia. Dylan Walker. Referee deciding the Kiwis were all over him.
Well, I'm picking something quite clear up here, and maybe Ian can help me on that one, is that the Australians are committing 4 and 5 defensively to the tackle. On the big blokes at Bromwich, on Blair, on Proctor when they're carrying the ball, Manring when he came in there. But they have to maintain that for 6 players, and that's difficult. There's going to be spaces for the Kiwis if they persevere.
Yeah, but I'll go on the flip side there. There's only 1 referee. In the NRL, they have 2 referees, and they're saying, let's get numbers in, slow the ruck down, and then we'll peel late out of the tackle. They're worrying about the impact first, Brian, and then worry about adjusting their line.
Here comes Thaiday. A couple of tackles have taken Australia inside the New Zealand half. Cronk to this right-hand side, and it's Utai who's going to be tackled less than 30 away. Cronk and now Woods, who lost 5 kilograms, we're told, this week. because of the virus. He's put some of it back on again, but my word, 5 kilograms lost, but here he comes in a test match. Parker. Cherry Evans drops it back on the inside again, and Australia looking through Mansour, who's dealt with. Played quickly, Cameron Smith with a short pass, and Parker's close to the line. He's over, but I don't think he's going to get it down.
They look sharp, the Aussies. Cameron Smith probing, Cherry Evans throwing both sides of the ruck, injecting himself into the game. Good pass play. Great defence by the Kiwis in the end, because they were done for numbers.
Come on, mate, you've got to hold 10. Don't go early. Wait. Go.
Kiwi goes the chant.
And that's what I'm talking about, the start of New Zealand. Madu Varnavai, the big monster winger, getting yards. You'll see Nightingale come in and have a run. That's where they're quite dominant coming out of their half. I feel they have an edge on Australia at the moment.
Kenny-Dowall quickly to play it. Here comes Issac Luke again, running away.
He's busy early, isn't he?
Isaac is busy. He's been the best I've seen Luke in the two games that he's featured in. He's looked slightly off the pace, if we're trying to be fair to him, but he looked sharp at the beginning of this game.
Here's Bromwich, and eventually he's put down on the ground. 4 tackles gone. New Zealand still looking for territory here. That helps a little. So Johnson's got his hands on his hips, waiting for the ball. Here it comes, and up it goes. Not quite with the height that he's capable of, but it's still a tester. Inglis is back and pouches it safely enough. The chase is wonderful from New Zealand.
Great tackle.
You'll find that New Zealand will kick a lot to their left. Australia's right. There's a theory in Australia that Inglis is not as effective coming out of his right corner. He likes to come out of his left. So we might see a lot of kicks to this left-hand corner for New Zealand.
And for the sake of Ian Millward's safe re-entry back into Australia tomorrow, he's not entirely convinced that New Zealand will win tonight. He does give Australia a chance.
Oh, look, my heart's with Australia, but I'm just being a realist here at the moment. My head says New Zealand. They've got a lot of things going for them. But it's very even. Australia started very positive one.
There's Cronk out of dummy half and helps it on its way to Papalii. Smith spinning it back. Cronk's going to go for the big kick behind the 30-metre mark when he lets that fly, but he's looking for distance. It's nullified by the catch and the return from Hiku. His offload is wonderful, and New Zealand are going to steal another 10 metres or so. Good offload again. Now it's Batavile. Another big run from the big man on the wing. And look at that for a return in 2 tackles.
Hold on to your hats. They're in the mood, the Kiwis.
Look. On again by Bromwich with the offload. Keeping it alive in the middle. Johnson skipping away. Slight injury problem with Shaun Johnson this week, but nothing serious. Nightingale, who along with Inglis is the top try scorer in the tournament so far. But you expect both of those to be on the sheet tonight, wouldn't you? Look again. Johnson. Across the line, Proctor. Taken on by Foran, who's almost found a way through. Not quite. Proctor. Johnson. Hangs it. A little bit of a chase going on here. Mannering's after it. Oh, it's gone to the ground. Did anyone get a touch on the way through? Yes, an Australian hand, the referee decides. It's a dropout underneath the sticks.
Well, they deserved that. They created a set there where they decided to offload on the Australians. And 2 or 3 offloads in that sequence of play made it real difficult for the green and golds. And then they finished up with a competitive, challenging kick that they had to bat out. I think you'll find that it's Walker that bats it out. Well, it hits the back of Isaac Luke.
Just touching on that offloads again, we were talking to Steve Kearney after the England game last week, and he said in the second half he encouraged his players to offload to break up the England defensive line. There was 6 offloads in that set of 6, and that's where they break you up. But I like the way Shaun Johnson's composure a few times here. He could have kicked short, but he waited to the last and applied pressure.
20.
Well, just looking to our left, the video refs are already in action here. They are having a chat with Phil Bentham, and the decision is reversed on the strength of those replays. It's a tap back on the 20.
Well, it's the right decision. Well, Phil Bentham didn't get there originally, so he's asked who did it come off, and it clearly came off Isaac Luke.
Did you see the Professor Cameron Smith, the way he negotiated with the ref to go upstairs and look at it? He bought time and he got the result.
Here's Aaron Woods. Carrying 3 Kiwis. That last couple of yards. Smith again at dummy half. Here's Corey Parker running the line back. Daly, Cherry Evans trying to bat them off. Eventually they round him up and put him down. But he showed his danger. Smith dummying to a couple. Out it goes to this right-hand side, and Walker. Final tackle coming here. Cameron Smith, Cooper Cronk. There are plenty of Kiwis back there to provide the cover, but the catch is not a good one, and I think it's going to be turned into a try here by Parker, was it, who's down in amongst all of that. In fact, no, it's not. It's Michael Jennings. Well, the Kiwis had that covered.
Well, the referee's worried here because he keeps saying, I've heard an offside call, heard an offside. Now, he's gone try. I think it's a fair try. It bounces off New Zealand straight into Australian arm, but he kept saying to his sideline adjudicators or linesmen, he kept saying, is there a call of offside? Now,
I didn't look at it, it's the video ref.
This will tell us straight away.
On restarts, that's a process.
Now, Aaron Woods is in closest to him, but he's 10 metres away. I feel those players are onside. What do you think, Brian? I think it's a fair try.
Yeah, I think it's a fair try, certainly if the catch is clean and the put-down's clean, but I think indicative of that was the way that Cherry Evans, well, that's off of Kiwis, so if they're onside, that's a fair try if he gets it down.
Well, it's going to be a try.
Yeah. I just think in the set of six before that, the Kiwis had decided to come up. We've seen all the tournament trying to stop the play. Here's the kick.
Just here, I think he calls Aaron Woods, the blokes in front of him. It's the blokes on the outside that are onside. The other blokes stay out of the 10 metres, which they're supposed to. It's a poor jump by New Zealand. One bloke should have said, my ball. The other one protected him. Both went up for the ball, and both got a poor result out of it. Lack of communication. And you practice this at training. One up, one escorting. We call running the defender off. It's a fair try.
Well, there's a button being pressed in the booth to our left, which suggests the video referees have made their decision. So all eyes on the big screen here. Michael Jennings is looking fairly confident, isn't he? Not even bothering to look back at the screen.
Just give it.
I think they might be having one or two technical problems here, because they've not gone to the screen, and in the end Phil Bentham just points the finger and says, I'll just give it. So it is a try. We've not quite had the flourish on the big screen that we'd expect, but the try is confirmed, and Australia lead by 4 points to 0.
And I think a worrying thing for New Zealand in the build-up to that try is that Cherry Evans is prepared to run and dart and take the line, and so is Cameron Smith. Cronk, when he's being closed down, he's doing the same. So the Kiwis may have to rethink their strategy, or certainly get a hold of their runners, but the kick in the end should have been defended a whole lot better than it was.
I think it's testament to defence, but at this level, gee, it's hard to score a try, and a lot of tries come from kicks. If you look at that, that's something that's practiced regularly, how to defuse a bomb. But I've got to say, even though they have broken the line, Australia, their scramble defence has been outstanding, New Zealand.
So here he is, Cameron Smith, 42nd cap being won tonight. Keeping a cool head. Sending that ball goalwards inside the far post. And Australia lead here by 6 points to 0 with very nearly 12 minutes played.
Do you know one of the biggest things I've noticed here early? I know they go the kick on the last, but Australia are a lot prepared to move the ball a little bit wider of the ruck. It's something over the years Cameron Smith's dominated the ruck area by going forward. There's a lot of movement wider, and there's a lot of movement to the halves earlier to get to the edges. I think that's a legacy of the size of the Australian pack, not going through the middle of New Zealand.
I think they're trying to use footwork and fringe work and trying to find their fronts. And I think another indication of the game and the high levels of competence that we're seeing right throughout this tournament is at one end of the field we get a similar kick and it's cleaned up, or not, the 20-metre restart, and all of a sudden in the very next set you're defending a kick on the other try line.
Yes.
Here comes Aaron Woods. Second tackle for Australia.
How important was that video ref's decision not to have the dropout? They get the 20-metre restart and they score that set of 6.
Clear space.
Bird dealt with, sent short of the halfway line. Smith picks up Cherry Evans to that left-hand side. Jennings with that footwork again. By the way, his try just scored his 9th try in 9 Australian appearances. So he's got a certain prolific ability, hasn't he? Here comes Parker again. It's a good set from Australia's point of view. Smith looking to finish it tidily with a kick that just dribbles out of play. And New Zealand will start with a scrum 10 from their own line. Australia having gone more or less the length of the field.
Well, I just mentioned it at the start of the game. I think Cameron Smith, the way he can control the game. I think Cherry Evans is looking dangerous. I think Cronc's looking organised. We haven't seen Inglis yet inject himself into the game. Corey Parker, all these Origin players. Greg Bird being involved in the grubby way he can be, you know, getting under the skin. And Corey Parker with his offload. I just think that kick there epitomises what Cameron Smith can do for this team.
But he's been the glue the whole tournament for Australia, Cameron Smith. His experience, his guile around the ruck area. He just controls like a conductor in an orchestra.
And it's been the case for a while, not just State of Origin, but a lot of Queensland influence there as well, isn't there? In the key positions. Used to being together in the big game.
So you say the key positions are always your 1, 7, 6 and 9. You've got Inglis a Queenslander, Dale Cherry a Queenslander, and Cooper Cronk a Queenslander, and Cameron Smith. That's where the spine is, Queensland.
New Zealand looking for a way through. They went behind, of course, in the first game, the Kiwis. So they won't be over disheartened by this situation at the moment. Foran. Sextattle is the next. New Zealand just inside Australia's half. Johnson. This is a little high. Will it catch the wind? How does this come down? Safely as it happens. In the big man's arms. Greg Inglis. And I'm not under a lot of pressure there either, was he?
Well, he got run down again, did Shaun Johnson, and clearly got the message as Tim Sheens to his players, don't give this ball. And I pick up on what Ian says is that teams will think from the statistics that he's not great at carrying the ball out of the right-hand corner as he's standing, Greg Inglis. My views are he's made the kick as difficult as possible wherever he's catching it.
Tell you what, Australia's winning the ruck here. Their speed to play the ball's a lot quicker than in previous games.
There's a reminder to Shaun Johnson as to what happens when he kicks the ball, what to expect.
There's an Australian being knocked over in back play by Blair. Cooper Cronk's been hit quite late. I'm very surprised there's not a penalty here and they're going to play on.
Materan wants to second them 25 metres out. Sextattle coming up. So Cronk recovers to put the chip over the top again. Hiku's underneath it, catches it safely, despite a cluster of Kangaroos around him. And New Zealand will have a chance to come away with it again here. 16 minutes played. This Four Nations final 2014. It's broken records for crowd sizes this year, and it has probably been the most exciting Four Nations we've seen in terms of all four nations competing.
So when Manu's running at your full belt and you're the assistant coach of St George Illawarra Dragons, what do you say? What do you do? Do your best? Be a speed hump? Throw yourself in his spokes of the wheel?
Like throwing yourself in front of a bus, isn't it?
Here comes Inglis, the double-decker at the back for Australia. Running it back. Picked up from dummy half by Mata Utaya, who's going to be dragged down. Cherry Evans crossed the face of that New Zealand line, and out it goes towards Jennings, and he's got it away, and Australia away. Mansour with the ankle tap by Nightingale. Otherwise, he's flying into the corner. What an important tackle that might prove to be, but Australia still rolling on. Smith puts it back. Here comes Corey Parker to straighten things up again and thinks about the offload, but he's dragged down by Taumalolo. Two big men together wearing 13. Cameron Smith, Cherry Evans, trying to create the numbers out there. Bird trying to force his way in. Quick play the ball. New Zealand quick to the response in defence as well. And Cherry Evans is thinking about the try there. The kick has gone to Foran, and Foran has the chance to run it away. And New Zealand survive, and a little bit of flourish on the back of it as well.
Well, this game's
and a penalty.
Real early. Real early this game is on. Australia looking threatening, pushing between holes, finding offloads and troubling the key. What about the ankle tap by Nightingale as he goes? Jennings gets him away, Mansour, and geez, it's got to be a try, and ankle tap.
Wow, it is a true ankle tap. He's not going for the tackle, he's going for the true ankle tap. He's beating him for speed. Wow, what a fine line. See, the last two kicks by both teams, Australia's come up with a poor kick there, New Zealand come up with it. At this level, you don't come up with a quality kick that applies pressure or gains field position, you face the consequences. And, you know, and I'll go back to Brian, we're talking about there, Australia. You made the point earlier. The way they're making metres out of their half and their speed to play the ball is very quick and taking a lot of energy out of New Zealand big forwards.
Well, I think early in the game we were talking, it's a conscious effort from Australia to do that. And why wouldn't you? Why would you get involved with those giants in and around the middle if you can play that way?
It's a fresh pair of legs in the shape of Greg Eastwood, who's just come on from the interchange bench. Here's Jesse Bromwich. So New Zealand have got a decent position here. 3 tackles gone. 20 metres out. There's an opportunity. Foran throws it back to Hiku, who tries the dummy, but finds Dylan Walker wrapped all around him. So he's going no further.
He should have passed.
Mannering, Foran, Eastwood, Johnson. Isaac Luke has the ball knocked down by Jennings. So it'll be another set of 6 here.
That's nearly a penalty, I think. That's a deliberate knock-on. It was. You watch him.
Yeah, look, I love the way they just kept their composure here. Eastwood, then he kicked past it to Johnson. They stripped them for numbers. They had a 3-on-1 here. Like that goes to Proctor, the tall, long flowing head, back rower there. He's got a winger and a centre outside him. 3-on-1. The winger's stripped, and the winger's now, Mansour's got 3 players running at him. A lot of desperation, last line efforts here at the moment, which you'd expect in a final.
Fast game, isn't it? It's a
very fast
game.
Very fast.
Here comes Johnson. Inside for Eastwood to hurl his considerable bulk. Testing out that Australian line. Johnson waits patiently. Little flick of the hips, Bromwich. Somehow it comes out to Isaac Luke, who's running out there to try and find some space. He's hunted down by Cherry Evans. And the man from Manly's hanging on too long. Penalties given. In comes Greg Bird because he feels there's some retribution to be meted out. But it all calms down just as quickly.
You know, from a coaching point of view here, you're saying to your team, when they're inside the 10, if you feel you can't control the ruck, it's early tackles, don't worry about giving away a penalty. It gives us a chance to get set and defend our try line. The other thing, too, is when we say the ruck's quick, is it because, 1, is it an English referee, and is it 2, because there's only 1 referee? As in the NRL, there's 2.
Well, 1 referee or 2 referees, Isaac Luke gave Cherry Evans a slap round the chops with his version of the ruck, how quick it is.
And the pushing and shoving here just only helps Australia. New Zealand want to play on. They got repeat back-to-back sets here.
You stood next to me, you got there quicker than I did. Stay out of it, okay. Penalty's the first one. High tackle.
He's become a comedian, Phil Benton, hasn't he?
That's the second funny he's done in this tournament, isn't it?
He's laughing and joking. I think he's telling some Lee jokes there.
Now the lapper from Lee. The lapper from Lee. Johnson. New Zealand hoping to put a smile on their faces in this position here. Here comes Proctor. He's had a strong tournament, hasn't he? Kevin Proctor. Isaac Luke wants to get on with it quickly. Here's Foran, Mannering, trying to force his way through. Plenty of these Kiwis have had success in big games against Australia. Mannering's one of them. World Cup final win for him. And here's a little gap that's approaching in the middle. But Bromwich is hunted down and put down. Within sight of the line. Luke is quickly up there. Wants to get on with it here. Senses the Australians are on their heels here. Luke throws it out. They're trying to keep it alive, but they can't. Smothering defence on Eastwood as Australia come out.
Stay back on 4.
So here's Isaac Luke again. Blair with a pass. Foran throws it out wide. Little jiggle of the hips going by. Kenny-Dowall gets it alive, keeps it alive. Hiku now skipping on. Australia there, a blanket of green and gold. No way through.
Good D from Australia, you have to say.
And only 1 tackle to go. Foran puts the kick in. It's taken by Inglis. And Australia survive the pressure.
Well, that is protecting your try line. Desperation, numbers in the tackle. Outstanding by Australia, and they return serve straight away New Zealand.
Well, I was going to say there's still an opportunity here for New Zealand without the ball, isn't there, to keep the pressure alive. Australia have got some work to do.
That is tackle 3, and they're inside their 10, Australia.
The heartbreaker here for New Zealand would be if they give a penalty away. They've got to keep it clean, and they can't allow Bird to get too far downfield. But that's 4. Here comes a play the ball. A bit of momentum being built here now. David Clemmer is on the field from the bench. The big prop forward. They'll be looking for a kick, and a good one. Away it goes from Cooper Cronk. It is a good one. Hiku's across there to take it. Just flirts with the touchline on this near side. The chase from Australia is fantastic, not least by Clemmer.
That was a bell ringer from Clemmer. Ding dong.
And another one from Thaiday. Get that in your ribs. Nightingale.
Oh, the swapping blow for blow here. That was a really vigorous set from the Kiwis, but the Aussies are replying with some.
Oh, another one. There's bodies flying all over the place. Walker's put on his back.
This is a proper game.
Quick play the ball. There's a bit of a gap here, maybe, for Kenny-Dowall to make the break. Kenny-Dowall gets it on now. Australia flooding back in defence, but look where they are. New Zealand only 10 away, just over. But this is the 6th tackle. Johnson looks out wide. Out it goes. Foran with a pass. And Nightingale will dive into the corner. His 5th of the tournament. New Zealand get the response they needed. 84 metres in 6 brutal, bruising tackles. But at the end of it all, a Kiwi score.
Well, here's my message. You can belt each other as all as you want, but if you forget on the 4th time to belt somebody and somebody runs past you around the ruck, like Kenny-Dowall did there at the breakdown on the 5th play, they did really well there, Australia. Swapped blows, swapped hammer blows, swapped sledgehammers. Kenny-Dowall gets up the middle because of clock off from Cronk and from Smith. Who would have thought they'd have clocked off? He makes the meters, they compose themselves, the Kiwis, they line themselves up on the right-hand side. And it's just a question of getting it through to the right hands at the right time. And Whare finds Nightingale, and he won't miss from there. Well played, New Zealand.
Yeah, this is the key, but Brian, after the break, if you're a Kiwi fan, you want the ball to be in Johnson's hands. He makes the right decision. He makes sure he has the numbers, and he gets it in the hands, and the perfect pass. And Nightingale from St George Illawarra, and he loves scoring tries acrobatic-wise. He won't just put it down conventional. He's great at that. Look, can I tell you this here straight away, and we're all revved up here, and there's all these 30,000 fans. They smashed each other down that end. They smashed each other here, like you said. And then it come down to the little halfback who said, just give me the ball. He was the conductor in the orchestra. And all of a sudden, they scored more tries, Brian, on that right-hand side the whole tournament. That's the side Johnson goes to. And it's come up with I was about to say 6. It's 4 with a kick that come by Johnson.
I'm in utter admiration.
Wow, that was powerful, wasn't it?
Oh, how good. That was,
wow.
That was proper rugby league at its best. They got stuck into each other, and then a smart little play from dummy half, put Kenny-Dowall away. Wow. And composure. All the great things about our game.
Of Brian Noble, the linguistical stuntman. A clock off by Cronk at that speed.
You try saying that when it's so exciting.
Terrific. Johnson from the touchline. Has he made it all square? You bet he has. The flames go up on the sidelines to signal the kick's gone over. And we're back level again, 6 points apiece. It's a proper test match, this one.
Just come here again. This takes a lot of vision, this here by Johnson. It's easy to get the ball when you've made a break, but you've got to be able to scan the line. The ball goes across an attacking player to make the extra number. And sometimes when you do that, it sends the defence off. But in this situation, he read it perfectly. For years, Thurston stood up to the plate. He doesn't play in this tournament. Now we've seen the emergence of Johnson, and he is stepping up the plate for New Zealand.
Big games between these two are very often tight. It's the 5th time they've met in a Four Nations or a Tri-Nations final. Only one of those matches has been won by more than 6 points. They do it tough, and they do it tense. And New Zealand begin to roll forward again here.
We get always excited in sport, don't we, by people with the ball in their hands. But how excited we get with people putting their shoulder into another person defending. And that's one of the great attributes. Sometimes you can attack with the ball, but you can also attack in defence. And that's what both teams have been doing.
Here's the skipper, Mannering, who's making inroads down the middle again here. Issac Luke, Johnson, This is higher. This is higher. Mansour's underneath it. He's worried. He's lost it, and he bats it back. But you could almost feel the pants of fear from 80 yards away from Josh Mansour, who knew that was coming down with a spin and a spiral.
And that's my point with his kicks. Don't worry about trying to get Inglis out of that corner. Get it up as high as you can, and when it moves, it's up to the Australian backfield to deliver the goods and deal with it. He doesn't deal with this. I can't tell you how difficult that is to deal with. That is difficult to deal with. He doesn't have to bat it out in the end, but that's what Johnson was doing all last week, peppering England, and he got results from it.
Ready?
Get used to it, Josh. There's more coming your way before this game is over.
Oh, well, don't forget, well, we mentioned it earlier, Sione Matayutai. This is his test debut in this tournament, saying with Mansour, they're only 3 or 4 tests into it. And they say this is the land of the white cloud. I'm sure a white cloud come down on that. That was a high kick.
Brace yourself. Here comes another big charging run. Issac, look out from dummy half again. New Zealand feel the ascendancy is being claimed here. Having got themselves back level, they're desperate to get themselves ahead. And they're in decent position just at the moment. Australia hanging on. Johnson. Soft hands. Bromwich. Here comes Luke. Back on the inside again. This is Taumalolo, and he's got it offloaded to the man in the middle, Kieran Foran, who's almost threaded his way through all those bodies.
Here we go, Brian.
High tackle.
13 minutes to go. Kick or tap. Run the ball or kick the goal.
Run the ball. They're on the rack here. I think the Aussies, I think they're making progress in and around the ruck. They find a bit of composure here, they'll get over New Zealand.
I'd agree with you. I'd take the tap. Field position is so important in this game. It's so hard to get out of your half. You know, you'd be better off staying in it. And they're elite players, and they fancy themselves. They can get across the line. And you know as well as any, if you don't score, they're going to go to 2. I was about to say, even if you don't score, you know you take a bit of energy out of the opposition. But it comes back to your stat, Dave. No one's won a Four Nations between these two teams by more than 6 points, have they?
Well, only once. Only once has that been achieved.
I would have took the tap.
Yeah,
I would have kept the pressure on.
I think they were creaking there a little bit, the Aussies. Yeah. If there is such a thing as a creak in a green and gold jumper, I think they were taking it to them. They were in the ascendancy, the Kiwis. You just got to try. They were making breaks in and around the middle. I just think 6 more plays there. But you can understand why somebody would take 2.
Yeah, I will say they've defended their line a lot more to Australia than New Zealand. That's why I thought New Zealand would be a bit more bullish about taking the tap.
Some Thaiday coming off. It's not going to be a shortage of hair on the field though, because Tohu Harris on the other side is about to come on. Johnson, in the circumstances, a relatively simple kick. And New Zealand, who had trailed up to the midway point of this first half, now lead by 8 points to 6 with 11 minutes of the first half remaining.
Brian and I were down in the New Zealand dressing room after the game last week, and Tohu Harris had his arm in a sling. And there's no way he's playing this week. Somehow he's found a new shoulder, Brian, somewhere.
He's been to the Kadaichi man, or is that in Australia, one of the people that put you right, those witch doctor type people? I don't know what the equivalent in New Zealand is, but he's been to somebody anyway.
Okay, well, we don't have too many of them left in Australia.
Taumalolo.
He's carried the bomb strong, hasn't he?
It's almost onomatopoeic, isn't it, Taumalolo, because that's the noise he makes when he hits the line. Here comes Proctor. Johnson's complaining about something or other. Eastwood. We keep saying it, the least likely rugby league player on the planet, surely, at this level. But he still does the business. Issac, look. Out from dummy half, is going to test Clemmer, running straight at him. Tohu Harris, this is the man with the new shoulder. So an efficient set so far has taken New Zealand midway inside the Australian half. Johnson gets that kick away before the chasing party came. Look how high that's gone, but Inglis shows you how you do it. That's how you catch a high ball.
The Australians are very good, but at kick pressure. And everyone looks at Cameron Smith, how good he is with the ball around the ruck. You have a look who puts the pressure on the kicker. It's Cameron Smith. Kick pressure makes it the kicker rush. when he rushes, he can't get it to Mansour. That's why it went to Inglis.
Stand square. Goal 3.
Inglis at dummy half. Clemmer battering it forward.
4-7. Hold.
Steady stuff up the middle at the moment. Cronk just stepped inside the 40 before releasing that. He was clearly aiming for a 40-20, but he's miscued because the ball goes out of play on the full, and it's another lift for New Zealand. They get the ball back inside their opponent's half.
Well, they've got some field position. He wasn't under pressure, but I think the pressure he put on himself was to stay within the 40 rather than kick the ball. I think that's where he's made the mistake.
I think for any new rugby league viewers, if you kick the ball inside your 40 and it runs into touch from a bounce inside the opposition 20, you get another set of 6, and he's overcooked it. It's gone over the sideline on the full, so New Zealand get the advantage now, but that's the twice I've seen now Cronk look for that. Manu Badavai is normally a winger that is a little bit slow to retreat back, and because of his size, he's not quick at turning.
Johnson helps it on. Eastwood very nearly slipping through. He's lost a boot in the process. Tohu Harris running hard, but they've got position here. 25 metres out, 4 tackles to come. New Zealand leading by 2 points, and a big hit by Corey Parker on Martin Taupo, but he's still kept it alive.
Release now. Back up. Hold.
Here's Luke. Goes right to Johnson. Johnson has the runners out there.
4. Move.
I think Parker hurt himself there.
Goal 4.
Johnson. Harris looking back inside, bowls it away, keeps it alive. Issac Luke.
5, Corey.
Here's the last.
Stay square.
New Zealand looking for a little creativity here, a little bit of magic with the boot from Johnson. Not with that pass. Mannering just bats it on. They have to make it up. Foran with not a bad kick in the end. In fact, a terrific kick in the end. They were making it up, but they have forced Australia into another set of 6 here. A drop out of
Not a bad make-up play, was it? I think Parker hurt himself on the tackle there when he tried to big hit somebody. And the Kiwis, what we've got to impress upon the viewers at home is that they're not only big and powerful, they've got great footwork. Here we see the Foran kick that he manufactures for himself, but it's a pretty impressive kick in the end, and Inglis cleans it up out of the backfield. But the impressiveness about the Kiwi forwards is their size and the speed at which they move as well, quickly, and put themselves into a hole to release the ball in an offload. That's the challenge for the Australians.
Well, they have that double-edged sword. They're always trying to offload the ball, so you've not only got to control their size and footwork, and then the offload comes into play. Drains you physically.
So Martin Taupo, the wrecking ball, is taking it back. Who dares stop him? Eventually, one of the little fellas, Cronk, you can't run without your legs. And that's where he grabbed him. Now Harris will have a go.
Well, it's just relentless. Taupo, Harris, Blair, they've just got such good size as well. Here comes Eastwood.
Here's Eastwood. Barney Rubble's having a go. And they're pushing close to that Australian line again. Look to Foran and out to Mannering. Foran's gone left again, but they're going right. It's not the best play the balls, but Taupo has made it something better than it should have been. And Isaac Luke is battling to keep it alive, but Cameron Smith remaining all over him. Last tackle. Johnson steps again. Johnson still going, weaving and dodging, and then the pass to Fatavai, and Fatavai reaches into the corner for a try. Make that compulsive viewing for years to come if it's given. Johnson spinning and weaving, and then at the last with a pass to Fatavai. And if he's finished this, boy oh boy, is that a score worth celebrating.
Breathtaking. Johnson's footwork here. He was stopped 5 times, but wasn't. He was a ghost. He ghosted. Found the big speculators of Vadavai, and if he's finished this is a super try.
But he's only passed it because he can seize the space on the outside. While he's beaten forwards and he's beaten that player, then beaten that player, showing his left foot and the right foot, and having everyone at 6s and 7s, he's had the ability to scan the line and see the space on the far side. Look at this. And these players, to be able to do this to elite players, right foot step continually, spin and turn. They know he's going to kick, but they've got to shut him down. Now, That is over 20 metres. And the pick-up, the one-handed volley pick-up. Look, it's hard to see if he's got it down here, but I've got to say, everything points to a try, everything in the air, and that's a try. This is a special try in New Zealand Rugby League history, I feel. The making of Shaun Johnson here today is unbelievable. That is downward pressure, hand on the ball.
And not only that, just pick up on the fact that Manu knew where his feet were exactly, because they were toying with the sideline, and he lifted his feet as well.
Try is given, and 30,000 Kiwi voices filling the Wellington night air. They are seeing their side taking a bit of a lead here against Australia, but the way they've done it has been mightily impressive.
Well, the last person to put a performance on like this was Benji Marshall when they won the World Cup. And now we're seeing Johnson repeat that. And this is where Australia, it was the last tackle. So some players are over-chasing, some players are sitting back waiting for the kick, but it's sheer skill. And that pick-up, wow.
Well, Robbie Hunter-Paul, watching back in the studio, when he was playing old Robbie Paul, had a bit of footwork, but I don't think he could ever pass that long, could he? It's a terrific finish.
Well, usually get him to the touch judge if he's listening. That was a super try.
Johnson to give New Zealand a 2-score lead if he puts this over. Was there ever any doubt that he would put that over? The mood is in tonight. 3 kicks out of 3 to add to Batavai's try, and 14 points to 6. Australia have to score twice to get their noses ahead.
Well, I think we spoke a few times here about Australia being on the back foot. It's been put on the back foot by the large and aggressive running of the New Zealand forwards. It's taken a lot out of Australia, and that's what happens on the last tackle. You think it's last tackle, we're going to get the ball back. Oh, thank God for that. Then Johnson pops up the ball in his hand. They are sucking the juice out of the Australian forward line and defensive line with their hard running. Just simple, isn't it? Run hard, run straight.
There's a film, isn't there? Catch Me If You Can. Well, I think the Kiwis are saying stop us if you can. They're good, and I don't care what brand of rugby you ever watch. You know, what's your origin, the best rugby in the... This is up there. This is a great game. This is good rugby.
Move now. Goal 2.
Well, New Zealand disappointed in the World Cup last year after that stupendous semi-final. Oh, they've knocked on here, though. They've knocked on here. Australia will get the head and feed, so... in the fulcrum of a game, maybe the balance is just potentially going back Australia's way a little here.
I think one of our students, I think it was JP back in the studio in the UK, said Greg Bird is key. He gets under your skin. He's competitive. You know, we were talking about the lack of size in the Australian pack, but he's got certainly loads of ticker, loads of heart, loads of aggression. He's going to get under your skin and try and force errors, and he'll be one of the players that the Australians look to.
So Australia looking for a response. Walker flattened in the first instance. Smith from dummy half, taken on by Josh Jackson, another of those who before this tournament had never pulled on a green and gold jersey. Not with serious intent anyway. Oh, he's lost the ball. He's lost the ball. Claims it was stolen. The Kiwis celebrate. And they get head and feet back, and Australia's time in possession is kept to an absolute minimum.
The ball's up top, mate. It's up top. Loose carry. Loose carry. Okay, fellas. Let's get ready.
Loose carry, Phil Bentham saying here.
Oh, there's a hand in there.
Harris.
It was helped.
No, it was one with the decision.
I'm a great believer that you should control the ball, but...
It's a loose carry. It's a loose carry.
Yeah, the Australians aren't happy because they've had a look at it on the screen. They're saying...
That's how it looks.
Well, the only thing
what do you think, Brian?
Well, the only thing he hasn't used there is a spanner to get it out of his hands.
Yeah.
That wasn't a loose carry.
Yeah.
He had it prized.
Batavai.
Oh, dearie me. There's that bus again, Basil.
It's...
Johnson looking out wide.
Well, there's no handbrakes on any buses here today, is there? It's foot to the pedal, and we've got to get to destination 1. That's over the top of you.
Here's Nightingale. There's Lewis Brown, the utility player who's on from the bench, playing in that dummy half role. But talking to him earlier this week, he said he's played in every single position on the rugby league field, apart from fullback. New Zealand looking wide. Hiku, held up.
They've been really smart, the Kiwis. They've stayed at the middle when they think they've got an opportunity, and then they've gone to Foran on this left side to try and get at Cronk, so that Cherry Evans on the other side when Johnson gets to the space.
Here he goes again, Johnson, and a little chip over the top, and Cooper Cronk put the shoulder in, but it doesn't stop. Kieran Foran picking up the bounce, turning it inside for Eastwood. Eastwood looks again, and there's still support, and it's going to be Lewis Brown, who tries to flick ball away. Play on, the referee says. Australia have it, and they don't know how, but they have it, and they're just relieved they have it.
Well, I didn't know I had it. I just thought he was in. Well, those made-up last plays are working quite well for Shaun Johnson.
Yeah. Well, you just seen Inglis drop back really deep. You've seen the space between the defensive line and Inglis. He chipped. I've got to give credit to Australia there. Desperation was just as high as the Kiwis wanted to attack desperate on the last tackle.
Papalii with a carry here. Back live. Last 40 seconds of the half. What a half. It's been a terrific game. Smith spinning out. Cherry Evans hunted down. Nowhere to go for Daly. Cherry Evans. Slow to his feet. He looks out on his feet. Cronk gets the kick away. Oh, the bounce is jagged. And where's this going? It came off a Kiwi player, I think. I think Kenny-Dowall might have got the lost touch here.
Gee, I thought Kenny-Dowall touched it last off his thigh.
Time off.
I think he tried not to.
New Zealand scrum, but we're just checking it.
Yeah, he's going to check it, Phil Bentham.
Yeah, he kind of touched. Yeah,
so it was a 50-50 kick by Cronk. He was going to run into touch because there was only 30 seconds to go, or he was going to run it in the touch and hope the winger pushed up and got a lucky bounce. If it comes off his knee here, Kenny-Dowall, it's got to be Australian feed.
Definitely.
What was that, mate?
It comes off his leg. He's in the field of play, comes off his leg, Australian feed. You agree, Brian?
I agree, Ian. And I think the officials will agree and tell Mr. Bentham that it's a green and gold feed.
Well, was there a hand there, an Australian hand on that angle? It's still New Zealand, right. There must have been.
That's why we're not referees.
Just a little bit closer, Cooper, please. Hey.
30 seconds to go in this first half. Fatavar. Here's Brown. Harris. Slamming it in. Are they going to risk an offload here in the last 15 seconds? Can they find a way through again? Torpa bowls it back. Eastwood picks it up. Has a run. Woods is there to help pull him down. Jackson round the hips. This will be the last play as the hooter sounds. Foran with a little kick towards that Australian line. Inglis picks it up. There's always danger when Inglis picks it up, but not when three very eager Kiwis are quickly around him to make the tackle. Australia led 6-0. New Zealand have blasted back into the game. They lead now by 14 points to 6. It's a test match and a half so far, this Four Nations final.
Possession by New Zealand at 38, that makes it really hard. Doubled up by a bigger forward pack, that's where they're sucking the juice, and 60-something more tackles. Yeah, the quality is down a little bit, and there's a lot of players in their first tournament debuts, which getting a bit rattled at the moment when they're behind the scoreboard. But get an even possession, that's when we can make the true evaluation.
I'm picking up on that point. What myself and Ian were discussing at half-time is the Australians at one point looked rattled, which is un-Australian-like, and irrespective of how many young people they put in their team, somebody has to stand up, and that person has to be Smith, it has to be a Cronk, it has to be an Inglis, has to lead this team to the right parts of the field.
Well, a high tackle here has given Australia a penalty at the end, towards the end of their set, so they'll start the next just inside New Zealand's half. Be a rare night tonight, New Zealand winning a final in New Zealand. They tend to do that on foreign soil in Australia, don't they?
I think the key for Australia is what Tim Sheens has said at half-time, because they need to adjust the way they're playing to sort of utilise their strengths and take away some of the weaknesses, like kicking behind Manu Vatuvei earlier, big tall winger, moving the ball a little bit, players coming against the grain, coming at different angles. They've got to change it up, Australia, if they want to change the result.
But we do know the blink of an eye and everything could change. Here's Cooper Cronk, who's capable of that, and Daly Cherry Evans with a little saunter to his right, and that blink of the eyes just happened. Australia are back in it. Sione Mata'utai scores. The referee is not mindful to give it just yet.
He's got a try.
He's given it as a try as long as there's no obstruction here.
Well, there's a lead player. The ball player sends a player through, but he brings a player behind him. They thought it was going to go to the outside player. Obviously, now you've got to see where the lead runner, the player that doesn't get the ball, does he impede the defender? Because they've shot up on the outside a few times here today, New Zealand, and it's always been when Dale Cherry's got the ball, he's got him behind the defence. There's nothing wrong there. This is a true try. Kenny-Dowall comes out of the line. He needed to stay with his inside defender. Of course, he comes up. He opens up the hole, and Dale Cherry will take it. Because he did it early in the game. They didn't get rewards. This time they do.
Well, here you'll see it better from the behind the screen, behind the sticks camera. There's no impeding. They're looking at if he's impeded Foran, runs on his inside shoulder. It's a poor read from Kenny-Dowall, so he's out of the play. What that does is open the tunnel for Cherry Evans to run through. He tried it in the first half and was ankle tapped and got caught. This time he gets straight through past Foran, and now has to find a pass play to put it out.
Well, he's that far up, Brian. He doesn't even know that Dale Cherry's got the ball. You watch here now. He doesn't even know Dale Cherry's got the ball. Poor defensive read. Way what we call upstream. He needed to stay with the defender and just work with his inside defender. And he's been known to do things like that, Kenny.
So we're expecting try here. And try confirmed. And Australia land a blow right at the start of this second half. Dangerous to count them out, and they have just proven why. Back within 4, back within eyesight of New Zealand's lead, with a kick to come here.
Obviously, this is a play that's been constructed during the week by Australia. You know, Evans straight away knowing that Dowell gets upstream all the time, so they want bodies in motion to drag him up and he get him behind. Obviously, he can also go the other way, is drag him up, and the winger comes up with him and kick him behind. That's a planned move, and now the Australians all of a sudden they look down and out, and they look moaning and they look negative coming out after half time. The whole bench and everyone, now they're on their toes, and this is where the test is. But this is where the test is Johnson. Can he keep controlling the game for New Zealand?
So Cameron Smith to reduce the gap to just 2 again. A lot of noise in the background, he's heard it all before. Whether in the colours of Melbourne, Queensland or Australia. Smith from the touchline. The kicking tonight has been good so far, and it remains excellent. 2 out of 2 for Cameron Smith. 14 points to New Zealand. 12 now to Australia.
Well, they're back in the game, obviously, with the score, but they started the first half like this. Cherry Evans travels and makes the extra tunnel ball play, which reduces the try. What the Kiwis, they can't be overconfident and not respect this Australian team. They need to go back to the process that proved dividends the last 30 minutes of that first half.
Johnson hangs it high. Cronk with a take, and Australia are going forward again in the shape of Papalii. New Zealand born Josh Papalii, playing Origin last year for the first time.
Back goal 2.
Looking to get some momentum going here, having had the perfect start to the half.
Back, Kevin.
Key night for Tim Sheens, you mentioned him. 30th game in charge of Australia, Tim Sheens, tonight. He becomes the second longest serving Australian coach. He overtakes the record of Clive Churchill in second place. Only Bobby Fulton has coached more games for Australia. 40 games, Bobby Fulton. 30 games now, Tim Sheens. Here's the high kick. Chase from Australia, bounces off the chest of Vatuvei, and his opposite number, Jason Nightingale, luckily for Manu Vatuvei, is there to mop things up.
How high was that ball?
Do you know, I'd go to far as say that's the highest kick I've ever seen. And when you do a spiral, some of them you hit in a sweet spot and they spiral and they go high, and some just don't get right. Wow, that did get right, didn't it? That is as high as I've seen a kick.
Here's Lewis Brown. Out comes Topau.
Actually, I thought Hiku did really well for it to hit his chest.
There's a problem here for Martin Topau. Former Tongan international, ex-Aussie schoolboy, now wears the New Zealand black. It's a confused international scene, isn't it? But we see it a lot, don't we? Players who are qualified for so many different nations in this part of the world. Still having treatment here.
We might be in All Blacks country here, but the 3 tries that have been scored on the sideline, the conversions have been 100% outstanding. 2 by Johnson and 1 by Smith.
And Ian, the pressure that's on, is there pressure on Tim Sheens? Let's talk about him. Maybe if Australia lose tonight, that might be it.
Well, I was just thinking when you're running through, he becomes the 2nd longest serving coach. He needs to win tonight to become the longest serving coach, because there is pressure. It's in the media. There's been some whispers from the players that they may like the change. But I think he's done a great job with the personnel he's had out. But unfortunately, when you coach Australia, you're expected to win. You expect to win tournaments. And then you look at the last bloke when they lost the World Cup, was Ricky Stewart. He went and Tim Sheens took over. So to answer you bluntly, he needs to win tonight to keep coaching in the near future.
It's not hitherto been a full-time job, has it, in recent times, the Australian job, but they are looking to make it full-time for the next 3 years.
Tim, because he's not involved in an NRL club, he has been doing it really full-time. There was talk before this tournament of going again with him for another 3-year period up to the next World Cup, but they want it full-time. But at the moment, they're not worried about the contenders, I think, the Australian Rugby League. They're more worried about winning the game. Then they'll look at contenders. You'll get people put their hand up. But at the moment, Tim is under a lot of pressure. And can I back up that? I think unduly too, because I think he's had a big personnel change. We've seen more players play debuts in this series than ever in Australia. Now, I think we got up to about 6 or 7 in this tournament, which is a lot of players being blooded. And he's had to take the brunt of that. But unfortunately, that's where we are in sport. Winning as a big dominator if you retain the job.
And extra pressure for the Australian coach. 5.5 years in charge, Tim Sheens. If they lose tonight, it would only be his 3rd defeat in 30 games. It's not exactly a bad record, is it? But when you're Australia, you're not expected to have a record even like that.
It's a bit like coaching Real Madrid or Barcelona, isn't it? You know, I mean, unless you win and beat your New Zealand, Australia, you're under a lot of pressure. And this is an interesting. He's hurt his neck here, and there's no malice in this tackle. I think we can hear some reports coming from the field here. He's hurt his neck. They'll go through a procedure now, which is a safety procedure, so they immobilise him. There's nothing in the tackle. It's just a contact. It'll be interesting to see how the break affects here, Brian, because Australia started getting momentum back with a try. They've made some yardage straight away coming out of their half. That great kick by Inglis up in the air. Times like this, as a coach, you sit here and you go, as the Australian coach, he goes, I want it to keep going.
Yeah.
And Steve Kearney goes, now this is the break we need. Do you feel the same?
I do feel the same. I think they had a little bit of presence in the Australians first time they got to this part of the field for quite a while. We're just watching a rerun of the Cherry Evans break through the line and the Australian score. But my big worry for the Kiwis was, I wasn't being flippant when I said just do the things you did in the last 30 minutes of that first half. They didn't start the first half real well and then got into the grind, and I think it's taken them a time to get into the grind again and get their hands on the ball, because they certainly at least have got to share possession this second half, because Australia will be a whole lot better.
And I think from an emotional point of view, when they went off at half-time, the way they got in a bunch, the 30,000 fans here sort of right behind them, sometimes you can think it'll just come natural in the second half, and you've got to get back to those little basics and that little hard work of applying pressure and attack and defence. I think that's really important. But it's interesting here, Cameron Smith here now urging his players here at the moment, having a chat with them. I just think with New Zealand at the moment, they need a flow, and when we say a flow, we need the ball in play so they can use their big men to take the juice. They need the ball to keep flowing, so, and what we say is possession, keep the ball in possession, so they apply pressure.
You mentioned the way that they're big ball carriers. They're like oil tankers. It takes an oil tanker a while to get going, but once it's going, they're hard to turn around and they're hard to stop. You know, Manu Vatuvei and all their big blokes were getting on the front foot and cruising forward because they have some momentum and some rhythm to their game. I think this rhythm, they need to reinvest in that and say, listen, let's just get our hands on the ball and get into our rhythm, because I think at the start of this second half they haven't.
I'll tell you one thing Steve Kearney be talking about. He sent a message to Kenny-Dowall. He'd be saying to him, Kenny, I need you to do this. I need you to stay together. You've had some tendencies to do that. You have a little talk to Foran, who was on his inside, to have a little chat with him. And then they talk about, with Inglis's big spiral kick, about when they kick, we want you to all track back and find Australian jumper and run them off the ball. Give our fullback and winger an opportunity to have a clean catch and not be put under pressure. The coach will be using this period of time to sort of a little bit of extra coaching from half-time.
I'll tell you what I'm going to miss next week, after a month of all living together under the same roof. I'm going to miss your metaphors, Brian Noble. Big oil tankers, donkeys under the bonnet. I love those.
You're not going to make my domestic appliance or boiling eggs in a kettle or anything like that, are you?
This is a man who boils eggs in a kettle, Ian Millwall.
Well, where he is from Yorkshire, and I lived predominantly in Lancashire. I did, and I understood when the Lancashire people said they were strange. I've seen some tendencies over these last 4 weeks.
If you ever find yourself at Brian Noble's house and he offers you a cup of tea, decline, because it'll have an eggy taste to it. He boils eggs in a kettle. Anyway, on the field here, Martin Topau, who's been given all the due care that we expect these days. I mean, it is terrific what happens these days, both on the international stage, domestic stage, that the medical people take over, don't they? If they see a player injured, they don't wait for the referee to stop the game. They're straight out there to make sure that the due processes are started and completed on the field. The likelihood is, as he lifts an arm to the air, that he will be okay here, but they don't take any chances. Long stoppage. Here we go again. New Zealand looking to get their blood warmed again. Australia likewise. And here comes Johnson with a kick. There's an interesting ploy early in the count. Let the Australians have the ball in their hands, see if they've got their concentration. This is Mata Utaya, the try scorer, who's tackled 30
He's a
metres
big
out.
loss, is Taupo. I thought he had a terrific first half, a great momentum with him.
Yeah, well, they're winning the size battle, and that's one of the big guys going off. So that is a big loss for New Zealand.
7 minutes stoppage, by the way. One of the Australians was saying last night, it's a late kickoff. It is, what time is it now? 10:05 here in Wellington. If we have a stoppage and then it goes to golden point of any duration, this could be the first international game that's played over 2 days. Beyond midnight. Not quite there yet. Here's Aaron Woods. Carrying it well. 4 tackles gone. 2 to go. Cameron Smith, Cherry Evans, left again. Here's Courtner, trying to force his way through. New Zealand put him down. But a big play coming here, you suspect, because it's in the hands of Cooper Cronk, who on the 6 will put it high. Badavai's last touch was a knock-on. Not this time. Not this time. That's a wonderful take.
Yeah, he did well there. Got a leaping jump, then he got a running jump on it. And the thing you worry about there with Australia, all you've got to stop and do think about then is stopping him.
There's a saying in the NRL, if Badavai catches his first one, he's confident for the game. He drops his first one. He has some disaster games with the kick in the air. So big confidence for him. Just wanted a little bit more height, Cronk, so his support players could arrive.
I was going to say, it was a nice height for Manu there, wasn't it? Almost taking it in his stride. Tohu Harris trying to tear a hole in the Australian middle, but stopped 10 short of the halfway line. 6 tackle. Johnson hits the head of the chaser. The ball balloons in the air. It's not backwards by an Australian hand, but it's picked up by Josh Mansour, who's evaded the first defender and runs it back to find 1, 2, 3 more. Willing and able.
Yeah, penalty, and there's a penalty. I was just about to say Australia edging this, you know, in the exit battle, getting out of their own half. They're finding some kick pressure. They're restricting the Kiwi access to territory. And then the last play effort there and the penalty from the Kiwis puts Australians on the front foot.
And due to their kicking game, Johnson's last 2 kicks have been poor. One straight to Inglis, not much metres on that one. That one charged down, and that's the difference. You've got to make, at this level, teams come out of their 20-metre zone, and they're doubled up with a penalty. But you're right, Brian, they're winning the metres battle at the moment.
Here comes Courtner, Boyd Courtner, Sydney Roosters. This time last year making his Australian debut in the World Cup tournament. Cameron Smith rolls in at dummy half. Woods is winding himself up, but back it goes to Cooper Cronk and Daly. Cherry Evans, who's already created havoc in the New Zealand defence in this second half. Smith again, Australia rolling forward ominously. Tohu Harris was there to block the way of Cameron Smith. Otherwise, he was likely to create. Inglis bends his big back. Cronk with a kick. Manavatovae with a catch, and he will get out of that danger zone, but he was in danger of going back, so the offload, it's been dropped by Kenny-Dowall, picked up by an Australian.
Do you know, this will be a New Zealand ball, because even though it's raked out, they raked it towards the New Zealand goal line, which is, when it's raked forward, there's no advantage. If he raked it back, it's Australia ball.
Look at that possession second half so far, early days, but 76% Australia. Well, 8.5 minutes to the second
keep in mind, in the first half, it was all offside New Zealand. I thought it was a big call by Cooper Cronk going for the short kick here before the last tackle. That was the fourth tackle there. And then I thought, oh, here comes Manu. He cleaned it up, but that rake of the ball forward. But they're not as smooth and confident at the moment, New Zealand, after half-time, are they?
And it's just about getting their hands on the ball, and Johnson getting a kick away so they can get down and defend Australia at their end of the field.
Here's Hiku. Peter Hiku, the Manly man. They're all Manly men, but he plays with Manly. Eastwood, looking for a blast. Lewis Brown, Mannering, the captain, carries it stoutly, and the offload again, flicking it away and keeping New Zealand going here. They're being bold, they're being adventurous, and it might pay dividends. But the tackle on Whare, pulling him down on the 5th. Nightingale scoops it back to the middle. Up it goes, off the foot of Johnson, who seemed to be taken quite late there. Inglis goes up and takes it. It wasn't a nasty tackle on Johnson, but he seemed to be hooked back fairly late. The officials ignore it. Australia have it back. And Mata'utai tries to run it away. Have a look at this here on Johnson. Up it goes. And then it was quite late.
Yeah, that's a penalty.
Yeah, that is late, I agree.
Move, Jason!
It's Cronk. Now Woods. Strong energy by the 20-year-old, a mere baby in that position at prop forward. Only his 4th test match tonight. Greg Bird, determination etched on his mustachioed face as he's pulled down. Smith picks up and flicks it back to the middle. Inglis is up there to give the big boot to the ball. And that does bounce out of play. Short of the 20, I tell you, that was very close to being a 40-20. He's only a yard away.
Well, he's gone up and asked the referee to have a look at this too.
Just short.
Inglis has rushed up pretty hard. It's interesting. I haven't seen Greg Inglis.
And you're right, maybe they're trying to take away one of the Kiwi tactics of running Cronk down and running Cherry Evans down by sticking Inglis out the back for their kicks.
Heads in.
Well, Bird's off, clearly not as a planned interchange. He looked as though he was hurt.
Greg Inglis binding there. Aaron, get in there. That's it.
Shaun Johnson
Hold.
to feed. Lewis Brown picks it up on the back of the scrum. Here comes Manavatovae, hungry for a bit of the powerful stuff. He fancies a stint in the forwards at some stage in his career, doesn't he, Manavatovae? He's big enough.
He's doing a good impersonation of it at the moment.
Square. Goal. 2.
Lewis Brown again.
I think the forwards union, there was a time when there's some offloads from the Kiwis again and trying to make progression that way again, as they did in the first half. There'll be a time when they'll be ridiculed. What, wingers in and around the middle? I think they'll be giving them a free passport. You can come when you want, Manu.
Taumalolo. 4 tackles gone. New Zealand creeping their way inside Australia's half. Johnson to Harris. Rather Proctor, wasn't it? Kevin Proctor, the other of the Hair Bear bunch, who's tackled 30 metres away on the 5th tackle here. Down the blind side, Johnson with a kick back to the middle. Not too many chasing Kiwis there, but the post very, very nearly made it an impossible catch there. It's well taken in the end.
Jennings, wasn't it?
Oh, there's a knock-on, was there? There was a fumble at the play ball. There was. There was about 30,000 Kiwi voices who called for that, and Phil Bentham had to relent, and he gives the knock-on. First this. Oh.
That's Mansour, isn't it? Wow.
There's the little push from Cronk.
Well, it's Cronk who's knocked it on the play. The ball's clean. It's Cronk.
So head and feed for New Zealand. 13 minutes of the second half played. Best position they've had so far in this second half. And 6 tackles to have a go at extending that lead. They're ready for a push.
Push forward, bind it. Get in there.
Down they pack. Lewis Brown barking out instructions from the back of the scrum before he puts his head in. Now it comes. Throws it to that left-hand side. It's going to be Kenny-Dowall who'll have the first go. Australia scrambling across to make the tackle. Papalii at dummy half. Hurls it back. Mannering has to go forward and straight and bowls it back with the offload. Johnson's not sure what he's going to do, but equally the Australian defence are not sure what he's going to do. And Johnson looking for the outside, looking for the miracle play, and this time not finding it. And Australia congratulate themselves because they've got away with a tackle and they've got possession back again.
I was just looking there straight away. I thought Mannering, another offload. He's continually doing it. Then all of a sudden Johnson gets it. Has a good half here. You want him to drop someone back off here. Then he spots the space. He backs himself with too much confidence and gets near the sideline. Massive turnaround here. Double repeat set, 10 metres from the try line. Play two, handover. And the Australians, if you watch them off the play there, the way they went, it was like they scored a try. Wow, we've kept them out. And they rejoiced by clapping each other and back slapping each other. But his confidence got him in the problems there, Brian, didn't it?
On play two, definitely, because he wasn't doing that in the first half. He was making composed decisions, lifting his head, as you said, and that brilliant players have this disease where they've got to have a crack there, and sometimes it's not the team thing to do, but you can't fault players like that when they see things like that. You just got to ride with it, defend more six, and hope he gets another opportunity to show us that great footwork that he has. But not a great decision for the team on play two.
No, but if he keeps running the ball, he's going to cause some problems. But it's one thing you don't want him to stop doing, run the ball.
Australia relentlessly marching forward. I think that's 4 tackles and they're inside New Zealand's half. Corey Parker. Not many grey-haired loose forwards knocking around, are there? You think of a grey-haired prop forward back in our studio. Here's the kick high. Cronk, who's going to claim this? Oh, it's taken. I think it was Hiku got up there. It was the fullback who made sure with a wonderful leap.
Did well there, Hiku. Was under a lot of pressure.
Vatuvai.
We talk about revelations in this tournament. Hiku plays on the wing for Manly in the NRL because Brett Stewart is their #1 fullback. And he's been a revelation just as much as we talk about Johnson.
Issac look. It's the arm wrestle stage at the moment. Taumalolo. 5 gone. New Zealand looking for a very good kick here. Australia have Johnson's number. The big chase by Cordner, but Johnson still gets a decent kick away. Taken on by Inglis, who offers it here to Mansour. New Zealand defenders up quickly. The height of the kick allowing them to get up there quickly. Matautai. Slipping and sliding. New Zealand desperate to keep them here. Mannering's done a good job there for his team, the captain. Dragging him down, wasting another Australian tackle. This is Thaiday. Smith. Jackson. 6th tackle. So Smith out of dummy half will hack it downfield. Hiku catches on the full and off he comes now, quickly into his pace, running to see if there's any weaknesses there, but finding only the unwelcoming arms of Dylan Walker, who makes the tackle. Who's going to break here? They're both testing each other physically down the middle. That period of the game that lacks a bit of flamboyance, but takes a lot of heart. Vatuvai charging in again. 23 minutes at least before we can crown the Four Nations winners here. And here's a little slip, and off he goes! Wonderful by Johnson again! Shaun Johnson! Wow, what a night he's having here in Wellington. He creates, but he also scores in a magical fashion. Shaun Johnson, give him the crown. What a footballer.
Magic Johnson. Never mind Shaun Johnson. He's Magic Johnson. We said keep running. He's got to keep running. His teammates have defended the last 3 sets. Got him some field position. Plays out the back, 1-on-1. Wish on the outside. Shows his speed, and that's to beat Inglis as well, remember, in the process. What a score.
Oh, just the body's in motion. They're more worried about Proctor than Johnson. And what they don't want him running in their D-line, what his teammates want him to do is keep running. Because when he runs, he creates doubt. And here we got, again, Dale Cherry Evans, he pushes off very early. And Johnson sees it, and that's a skill in itself. If you have vision to see what the next defender out's doing, whether do I pass it or do I go myself? And straight away, and this is what I love here, he doesn't step back on the inside of the fullback Inglis. He takes him for speed on the outside. But that, I think that's an appropriate word to use. Magic Johnson. Here's the spark.
He burned. I think it was Boyd Cordner. He ran around. Cherry Evans has given him the responsibility of looking after his inside shoulder on Johnson. He's taken his eye off it and gone. As you've said, he's moved on in the defensive line. Boyd Cordner just couldn't fill the space because he's too quick. Yeah, he ran around him.
But Evans has got the threat is Johnson. He's got to deal with Johnson. He's on his inside shoulder. He deals with Johnson, and he doesn't release until Johnson passes it. And he's overcooked his decision there, Evans. And his back rower on the inside is half gassed himself from the previous ruck, the work he had to do.
Well, Stephen Kearney earlier this week described Shaun Johnson as the Ferrari in the middle. And he is purring tonight. Looking to add another two. Shaun Johnson rocking backwards and then rolls it forward. Oh, he's hit the post. He's hit the post. And that might yet be a crucial moment, because 18 points to 12. First goal miss of the night, and arguably Johnson's easiest conversion attempt of the night.
Sometimes the hysterics, the emotion of what he's just performed skill-wise has overtaken him a little bit there. But it's happened a few times here today where we've had defences not staying together, people making decisions on their own accord line, causing problems. At this level, you've got to keep your defensive line together and work together.
Well, it's on nights like this that the stars come out to shine, and Johnson is glittering tonight. We've seen some wonderful performances down the years. Lockyer in 2006, wasn't it, crowning his memorable year. Thurston has bewitched and beguiled. Benji Marshall, as Ian was saying, all of them classy footballers. And Johnson is joining the ranks tonight with this performance.
Well, his mentor at the New Zealand Warriors is Stacey Jones. You think of Stacey Jones, Benji Marshall.
Here comes Adam Blair.
Well, this set's reminiscent of what they were doing in the first half here, and this is what I'm talking about when they've had a little bit of ball.
He's off again. Sets tackle, but does he mind? He's only got one play left. Pops it over the top. They're looking for a miraculous play here. That was a knock-on, surely. Nightingale. Well, there is the sublime, but there's also the ridiculous. And I think that was just edging towards the ridiculous. Oh, they've given a knock-on against Australia first. It is New Zealand's ball.
Well, why didn't he play on then if Australia have knocked on? Because Manrin's in the clear there.
Because he knocked on afterwards. 2 knocks on.
All right.
Or
cool.
2 knock-ons.
That's fair.
So he's saying, here we go. New Zealand hand there, knock on. And then Nightingale hand, knock on.
Yeah. Well done, Mr. Bentham. Keep your mouth shut, Brian.
I've been wanting to say that for 4 weeks, but never dared.
Hey, Shaun, get in there.
Only joking. It's been a happy camp. Here's Foran with a feed. This now is Nightingale. 25 metres away. New Zealand edging closer. 19 minutes to go. They have the lead by 6, but not quite the comfort zone that would put Australia out of this. Australia are still very much in this. Johnson back on the inside. Blair. Issac look up at dummy half. Here's Kieran, Foran out to Hiku to Vatavai! No stopping him! No stopping him! Wow! They put the bodies in the way. He simply run over the top. Manu Vatavai, that's why they call him the Beast. New Zealand are rolling it.
A mismatch. A 19-year-old Sione Utai. His first series for Australia up against the runaway bus. As soon as he got the ball, you knew he was going to power over. Massive call here on the knock-on, which gave New Zealand the ball. And here we go again. They get to the 4-man, which is the 4th last defender. And the wide ball again. They knew if they could get to Matai, they could power over him. Foran, really great composure. Doesn't rush his way in the line. We talk about Hiku. He can hit Kenny-Dowall there, but no, he doesn't. He goes to the big man. He knows he's going to outpower the young kid. Gee, I love Foran here. Look at the way he just steadies, drags Cronk in, and then the wider ball gets a one-on-one. Covered defence, never going to stop that.
Well, Matai Utai's got a big lesson there. The old tanker got him, and he wasn't going to be stopped. That's why he's the beast. 10 metres out, 5 metres out, on the fly at full speed. Great pass from Hiku to give him the running option, and welcome to Test match football.
I was watching that defensive line for Australia, and they put an extra defender on their left. They were always one short on their right, and that's where Foran was happy to go a little bit slow on the defensive line to drag them in from outside in and create the space on the outside.
The delicacies of Johnson have been a delight to the eye tonight, but there was nothing delicate about that finish from Batavai. Johnson's gone out wide again, and he's hit the post again. So 22 points to 12.
Well, the last team that hit the post twice didn't get to the final.
This is really unforeign territory for Australia now, isn't it? You know, you look at that. It was a 6-point game because of the uprights hitting from the last conversion. Now, you'd love to be a fly on the wall amongst the Australian group when they were in that enclosure then, wouldn't you? In that huddle.
Just imagine the pitied look on Sione Mataiutai's face when, oh, here he goes again. When Tim Sheens asks, why didn't you stop Manu Vatuvei? And just a pleading, I tried.
So what happened was he steadied for a minute. When he steadied for a minute, he wasn't coming from a moving forward start. Once that happened, he was always in trouble. He was always going to be in trouble with the size of the opponent.
And this is the process that the Kiwis went through. Certainly the first, I can't emphasise to our viewers enough that...
Oh, Taumalolo with the offload here, and here they go again, and it's working towards Vatuvei, who's on a hat-trick if it goes his way. But the Australians are across there to make sure it doesn't get his way. And Kenny-Dowall is dragged down. New Zealand are flooding through here. They really have their tails up here, the Kiwis now. They believe. Australia are there for the taking. And the proof is in what's happening. 5 tackles gone. Here's the last. Out it comes to Johnson. Hits the legs of an Australian. They're going to survive. And Cordner, having made that interception with his shins, is quickly, if that's the right word, forward to make sure he drops on it again. Australia needed to survive there, didn't they?
They absolutely did. They were gone. Cordner's interception with his shins has saved them in the short term, but I go back to what Ian said just seconds ago. There's a few heads being scratching around this Australian camp. That'll help them, that carry from Clemmer.
21 years of age, another baby in the front row. David Clemmer. Here's Thaiday, carrying all the experience. Likewise, Cameron Smith, who sidles up to dummy half. Here's Cronk. Walker stepping back on the inside. Australia desperately trying to claw their way back into this game. One try, and they are back in this game. 6th tackle. Cronk carries, throws it left. Scruffy pass, picked up by Jennings. He can make things happen. Not this time. Throws it inside. I think he'd already put a foot in touch. He had. The flag was up from Robert Hicks down there. And New Zealand, double bubble. They've made the tackle anyway, but it was a foot out of play. So, head and feet.
No, Australia desperately looking for Walker to put the ball on the boot and get a repeat set and mount pressure that way. You make a good point. There's plenty of time on the clock. It's only a 10-point game. You don't need to score straight away. You need to keep building pressure, and the points will come.
Time off. Okay, Shaun.
Just. Oof, only just. But just is good enough.
Got it right, Robert Hicks.
Here's Bromwich. Possession last 5 minutes. New Zealand 74%. Swings and roundabouts. You just know you're going to get time with the ball at some stage in the game. Taumalolo. He's still looking for the offload. Vatuvei's up there, hungry for work as well. Mannering takes the tackle on the halfway line. New Zealand and Vatava. Wow, he's on his game tonight. He's got the appetite. Issac look, spinning it back to the middle. Another big push, Taumalolo rather, with the offload, keeping it alive. It's all bouncing the Kiwis' way. Australia being stretched to the limits here, stretched almost to breaking point. Johnson with a dummy, and then the pass. It's taken on by Whare, who looks out wide and finds Nightingale. A crowd of Kangaroos are there, but Nightingale has the wherewithal to put that little kick to the in-goal area and force the restart from the dropout.
Smart work, Jason Nightingale. They're playing the offload game again now with the Kiwis, and the Australians are finding it hard to live with. If they do the same in this set, I worry for the Australians.
Well, that's what Australia wanted up the other end of the park. They were in the same position. They had a winger in a centre, got the ball. This time it's a winger for New Zealand, and he just keeps his composure. Two experienced wingers against two new wingers for Australia, two new centres for Australia, especially Walker. Jennings has not been a prolific starter. That's where it's just the key moments. Interesting now, Ben Hunt's coming on. Now, Tim Sheens has a theory when it gets tough around the middle, his little bit of his athleticism, his speed, his ducking, causes New Zealand some problems. He's got to go for the top shelf now, Tim.
Calls his little halfback the ace up the sleeve, doesn't he, Ben Hunt? And we've seen him have an impact in games in this tournament. But it's a big ask from here.
I'll tell you what, they need to hold him out here first before they worry about Ben Hunt.
Issac looked from dummy half. Johnson shifting it on, loving the ball in their hands at the moment, the Kiwis. Everyone wants a touch, everyone wants a run. Confidence is sky high. This is Jesse Bromwich. 10 away. Issac by Thaiday. Clever makes a tackle though on Taumalolo. Look, Blair, Bromwich. Australia not only struggling to hold on to him, but making sure he doesn't spin it away again. Such is the intent to keep this ball alive. Sixth tackle, Johnson dabs it to the in-goal area. Inglis watches, and in the end he has to pat it away because he could hear the hot breath of Tohu Harris breathing down his neck, knowing if he didn't deal with it, it was another try. It's another set they're going to have to defend here, Australia.
Smart play, good composed, pressure play from New Zealand. This is really testing Australia. They're going to have to be good to keep them out here. Great kick from Johnson. Threaded the needle, and Inglis get it every opportunity to go out. And the chase from Tohu Harris made sure that he had to play at the ball, Greg Inglis.
Whatever the fatigue factor in both sides, I think adrenaline takes New Zealand home from here, doesn't it? And belief. Cameron Smith swings that left boot. And Vatava comes again, and there are supporters down below us off their feet the moment he gets the ball in his hands. Thaiday's been left sprawling on the ground. Clemmer's not too happy. Vatava's done his damage again here. Thaiday's in trouble, having tried to stop him. This will be Taumalolo. Clemmer, give him his due, climbing in to make the tackle. But three more tackles to come here. Here's Luke. Kieran Foran, Mannering, spins away. 2 to go. Australia grimly hanging on. Just, look, knocked down. Australia win it back again.
Well done, Australia.
And they hurt Thaiday, staggers away.
Thaiday was out for the count, busted all over the place, and he still is here. He got back to make that fourth tackle.
It takes some courage, that back-to-back sets. They're full of it, New Zealand. They're powering at the moment. That takes some courage, some work and commitment. But I think it's taken a lot out of Australia. The clock's against them and the scoreboard's against them. So when you lose energy like that, defending like that, gee, it takes a big performance now to get up the other end of the park.
Here comes Clemmer, he'll try. 10 minutes to play. Australia having to score twice, and they might have to do it without Sam Thaiday by the looks of it. Although he's still out there. Or Bird, loose one, taken by Jennings.
Well, it's going to take a magic moment or a special moment from a special player to break this stranglehold that the Kiwis have at the moment.
Cronk kicks and hopes.
Won't kick to him either.
Here comes Vatava again. Off the seats they come again, and he spins it out wide. And here comes Kenny-Dowall, hurtling down that left-hand side. brushes off a couple more defenders. Still going here, Kenny-Dowall. And eventually Papalii is drawn to him and makes the tackle, but that is tackle one from the kick. New Zealand are right back in the Australian faces in their half. Bromwich quickly played. Here comes Adam Blair charging forward. Lewis Brown. Little step by Lewis Brown, running into trouble. Couple of tackles to go. Johnson puts it back. Hiku in the line, the fullback. That's how close they are. Last play of this set. Brown, he's going to go from dummy half, is Lewis Brown, and he's not far away. But it's not a bad place to finish either, is it?
That's a great spot to finish, but they were looking for Johnson to get the ball in his hands, put the ball in goal, and just suck the juice out of Australia even more. They're on their knees here, Australia. The players from New Zealand want the ball in goal. Lewis Brown's seen something, you can't knock him for that. And they're starting in a dominant position anyway.
New Zealand win this. It is one of the great test match victories, isn't it? If Australia win this from here, it is one of the most heroic test match victories. But you cannot see it happening at the moment.
They showed their quality in defence here, Australia, the last 10 minutes. They've been under pump. They've stood up.
They get a penalty. They get a penalty.
I was just going to say, if they get a penalty here, Australia, and they find some field position and get a score, you best believe they're capable of winning this in a 5-minute period.
Well, the kick to touch has found them a position short of the halfway line. Jennings. Still some single-handed razzle-dazzle men out there, aren't they? Inglis and Jennings and Cronk, Daly, Cherry Evans. They are players who can, in even the tightest of circumstances, make things magical happen. Here comes Greg Bird. The Kiwis having to keep their concentration. Ben Hunt. Cronk. Short pass. Australia with renewed energy here. Now they've got the ball back in their hands. Hunt at dummy half. Cronk. Clamour from a standing start. Not going too far. Rolls it backwards. Ball on the ground. Went backwards. Referee says that's okay. But the tackle's good anyway. That's 5. Here comes 6. Cameron Smith. Inglis with a kick again. Hanging high in that in-goal area. I think he's overcooked it. Yes, he has. And out it goes. And a few thousand Kiwis up on their seats again. Arms waving in the air because they know that's another little turn of play. Another little moment that has gone against Australia, which makes it ever more likely that New Zealand are going to win this game.
What's Greg Inglis doing kicking the ball? He's the one they should be kicking to. He's the best leaper in the Australian team. He's the one who should be out in this left flank jumping for it. He's had 3 kicks in the second half, 3 more than he normally ever has in the second half.
Well, they need him to carry the ball in.
Exactly. Cronk and them are going to do the kick, and Inglis needs to get out and do the running.
There's Manu.
He's got to be close to man of the match, Manu.
Well, given the way Shaun Johnson's performed, that is a big call, isn't it? But you're absolutely right. Here they come, right again. Whare stopped in his track. Tim Sheens, on the night of his 30th test in charge, is perhaps having his least comfortable night in charge. Johnson. Up. Who's got the heart? Jennings. I think New Zealand are just happy to just play them down there here, aren't they? Make the Australians work hard.
Well, that tells you, Tail. Evans, their 6 has run the ball out from off their line. There's no outside backs ringing it here, Brian.
Oh, here's Walker.
They've got to find some width, they've got to find some space, they've got to get their big go-to man, Greg Inglis, who has been anything but this game, into the game and find some space, but that's easier said than done against this really determined and vigorous physical team.
Cronk chipping over. Cherry Evans with a chase. What's the bounce like? Fortuitous, but Hiku had him lined up and hits him with a shoulder. Hunt. Cronk. Here's Walker. Off. He's got the ball away. And the pass back on the inside as well. The desperate pass. Ben Hunt scores. Australia still have a sniff here. They went for bust. And they found a busted New Zealand defence. And Hunt, the made his impact again here. Australia ain't out of it yet.
Well, sometimes you've got to speculate to get something out, and they speculated with the kick, Australia. Kick short. Hiku was at the play the ball. So Foran ran back deep to fill in the fullback role. Straight away, they've got a defender out their left-hand side. He gets the ball back, Dale Cherry Evans, but then they go the right. Foran's out of play. They speculate with the pass back on the inside. Bodies get there through desperation, and it's a try that really brings us back to where you feel New Zealand have dominated this game so much. They're still hanging in, Australia.
What about the flick pass from Walker? Wow. And he caught one for his troubles from Manu. But then there's a speculator as well from Utai. What a ball. Then Manu finishes him off. He certainly wasn't going to let him back up. Utai takes the ball on, and does he throw the speculator to get in?
Well, big kick here. Cameron Smith kicks this, and a try and a goal could yet win it for Australia. From the sidelines, has he found it? Yes, he has. Cameron Smith, the ever reliable. And we just hark back. Conversions that hit the post for New Zealand. They'd have been home and hosed now had they gone over.
It's Cronk that throws a speculator, and
put all your effort in.
We spoke about Johnson, the half for New Zealand, but what about Cronk nosing the fullback, the little chip over? Evans regains it. Evans keeps his composure, and then Cronk, knowing that he's got numbers on his right-hand side, goes there straight away.
Well, Saturday morning in England, how good is this entertainment? 4 points in the Test match with 3 minutes left to play, and an Australian side that looked absolutely battered, that looked out on their feet, still have a chance of winning this Four Nations tournament. Extraordinary resilience. Have New Zealand got the heart to see it home?
We're going to go for it here, Australia. There's a shift player.
Here comes Inglis running this time. Oh, it's Greg Inglis. Familiar fashion. One hand on the ball, creating havoc with body in the other hand, but he's injured. He's hurt himself. Parker offloads. Clamour takes it in. Well read, well held. Good push by the prop forward, who's 25 metres away and still getting closer. Still going. He wants to go another 5 yards. Referee says get back and play the ball. Bit further yet. Bit further yet, David. Now you can play it. Here's Hunt again. This is Cherry Evans. Up he goes. It's in the mix now. Hiku's underneath it. Nightingale's underneath it. Neither of them made a hold of it. The referee says penalty Australia. Penalty Australia with less than 90 seconds to play. And less than 5 metres to cover.
Wow.
Oh. Cameron Smith with a tap. Cooper Cronk. Here comes Papalii. It's New Zealand's resolve that is being tested now. Cameron Smith, New Zealand are all offside. They came off very quickly then. Inglis, wrapped around by defenders. 55 seconds to play. Here comes Smith, throwing it left. Clamour to Smith, to Cronk. Cronk on the outside had numbers. Walker comes back on the inside, keeps it alive, spun away to Parker. Parker now, it's Jennings. Jennings with a footwork against the tiring Kiwi defence. This is Smith, quick hands, picked up. It's Utai who's knocked on. He's knocked on in trying to pick it up. And New Zealand just survived. Listen to the roar. Listen to the roar. Has a knock-on ever been greeted by such celebration before? Because with 14 seconds on the clock and the clock stopped, that's surely it.
Wow.
Can we have a look at this knock-on first?
One-on-one ball steals, boys. Yep. One-on-one ball steals.
Well, they're all looking at the clock, they're all looking at the screen. There are no replays up there for anyone to have a look at yet. 14 seconds to play, 10:43 in the evening in Wellington. I don't think they've had this much fun in Wellington at this time of the night for a long, long time. Kiwi goes to chant around the Westpac Stadium. They think they've won it now. New Zealand will just pick up, run and take the tackle. That's tackle one. 7 seconds to go. Johnson has a look round. Now it's taken on by Brown. He takes the tackle. The siren sounds on a New Zealand victory. But what a test match we've just witnessed. It has been a fabulous Four Nations for the last 4 weeks. And it's finished in fitting style. Some absolutely unbelievable tries. Very nearly a miraculous Australian fight back. But in the end, it is the Kiwis who are crowned champions on home soil in Wellington in one of the great rugby league tests. Brian Noble.
Breathtaking, that's all you can say. Excitement right to the very end. A fabulous way to finish the tournament. It's been a terrific tournament, and the final was icing on the cake.
We unearthed some new superstars of the game in this tournament. We also unearthed a team that had quality to beat an Australian team that weren't going to give it up easy. You can see in their final seconds the way they built pressure, the way they demanded they needed to win. And I've got to say, quality all over. This has been a great tournament and a worthy winner.
Just one word to sum up the tournament and the final tonight.